Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Hi, y'all. How we doing? Hello, hello. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Hey, gals.
Hey,
Hi, how we doing? Hey,
ready?
mama.
Ready? You look awesome.
Thank you so much, as do you. That lip is giving and so much more, baby.
Oh my goodness.
So much more.
I went into my makeup bag today and I was like, how is there a red lip I've never worn? I'm gonna
And
wear it
here
for
we
Kendra.
are.
That's what I said. I was like, I'm gonna wear it for you. I'm gonna do it
You
for
showed
you.
up and showed out. Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. My name is Kendra Austin. I am a curve model, writer, content creator, and consultant here in New York City. And it is Black History Month, okay?
Yes, it is.
Let's say it again. It is Black History Month. And throughout the month of February, My Brown Box is going to be hosted conversations with Planned Parenthood about sexual health, pleasure activism, body positivity, and self-love. And I am here today with none other than Nia E. Martin Robinson. I'm going to go ahead and let you define yourself as you are right now, what's important to you, your titles, your joys, your interests for the people.
All the things. So, hey, everybody. My name is Nia Martin Robinson. I am the Director of Black Leadership and Engagement at Planned Parenthood Federation of America. I am a Black queer femme, originally from Detroit, Michigan. That's important to me. Shout out to the D.
Shout out.
Girl raised in Detroit. And I am a fierce lover of Black people, Black women and femmes in particular, and especially Black fat, plus size, big, upsize, however we describe ourselves, curvy.
Absolutely.
Those are my folks. That's who I love.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm so excited to be in conversation with you today. I think it's really, really important to find community with those who have intersecting, traditionally othered and marginalized identities. That, of course, is not a part of our identity. That's a part of the things that are doing that to us. But how we rise above is, of course, our identity. And today we are talking about what it means to be fat, be fine, and be free. In this discussion, we're going to be touching on what it means to deconstruct beauty standards, what it means to live beyond them, what it means to find joy and pleasure in fat and plus size bodies, however we define them. And honestly, I could think of really nobody better to host this conversation with. I'm so excited. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. How do we feel about that?
Okay, let's go. Let's jump. Let's dive.
Yeah. Okay, gorgeous. Well, first things first, talk about pleasure and joy and talk about fat and plus size Black women and femmes being loved. I hear that some congratulations are in order because Miss Thing is, what do you call it? Engaged.
Engaged.
That is exactly what I love to see. Okay, that is exactly what I love to see. Plus size Black women, I feel, have been traditionally kind of removed from the narrative of the general understanding and grooming of you are deserving of being loved. Right. You're deserving of being seen. You're deserving of being enjoyed. You're deserving of being chosen and also being chosen.
That's right.
Right at the same time, both of them.
Right. And that we are desirable.
That's
right?
Exactly right.
Not just politically desirable, right? Because somebody decides to love us or like us or think that we're beautiful, and not just as fetishized, but just like desirable for the bodies that we exist in. Period.
Period. I believe that this is a really pervasive experience to walk through decades of your life as a fat Black woman, as a fat Black femme, believing that the world doesn't see you a kind of way, that in that way, meaning desirable, meaning worthy of protection, meaning worthy of respect, meaning worthy of being sexed, okay? All of these things, right? That the world doesn't see you that way. That's sexed well. Okay, let's be clear. In my opinion, if you ain't sexed well, you ain't been sexed at all. We're not even going to put that on the count.
I feel like
we're not going to count it.
Let's get out our calendars later and set a date, because that's a whole nother conversation.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I feel that that experience is so unfortunately pervasive, and it molds our entire perception of not only who we are, but what our life can become. Like growing up in my body, again, as another fat, Black, queer femme, I had this perception that I would not have anything of my desires, right? The partner that I imagined, like a doting, loving partner. I wouldn't have the checks that I deserved. I wouldn't have the career that I deserved because I never saw a fat Black femme or a fat Black woman being presented as the center of her own life.
That's
right? Like I never saw myself being the star. How would
Do
you
you know what it's
describe?
like? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. You just got me so excited because I was just
Please.
thinking, I can't imagine what 14, 15, 16-year-old me could have and would have felt like if they had a Kendra,
Yes.
right? So
Ab-
I turned 40 last year. I'll be 41 in May. So I'm
yes.
like I'm in high school in the 90s, and you know, I mean, sure, we had some internet. It was like that dial up, put the disc in, whatever.
Right. Little,
but I didn't
yeah.
exactly. But like when I think about the plus size or fat identified Black women that I go to on Instagram now to look at, it's so empowering and exciting and beautiful
Right.
to be able to see. And most of all, it makes me excited for young Black fat girls who are just trying to figure out how to exist in their own bodies, because you know they can't even walk into stores and see the kind of clothes that they want to put on. Maybe can't
Yes.
share and swap clothes with their friends. You know, I
Yes.
had that experience as a young person, but being able to see Kendra, you know,
Yeah.
being able to see Kelly, being able to see you know, all the Black women that we're able to see right now is just
Yes.
it's just fascinating, and it really, you know, shows me that tides are shifting, and that
Completely.
fat women, Black fat women in particular, are saying like we deserve to take this space. This space
Yes.
is ours. The space that
Yes.
we are taking with our bodies, and the spaces that we're taking with our intellect and our personalities.
100%. And I think that that understanding of claiming space is also so personal, right? I think that for me, there was a moment after I had already existed in this body as this person, had gone through college, you know, had already spent roughly 22 years of my life imagining a life that was much dimmer than the one that I lead now, right? Because I thought that I was the smart girl, because I thought that I had to be the funny girl, because I was overcompensating, over functioning for the amount of physical space that I claimed, right? But even more than that, like I realized that a lot of the terms that people use to describe me were very similar to almost the way people describe Black hair, right? Too loud, unruly, too big, hard to manage, inflexible, right? All these things, all these things.
Right. And you're
And
like,
I
really,
feel
actually,
like
let me show you how flexible I am. Right.
I said, I can do backflips, sweetheart.
You
You want to
understand?
see it?
You
You
have
want to
no
see me
idea.
talk? That's exactly right. And I feel like it took me almost like kind of going through that moment of realizing nothing in my life is reflected of my heart, of my truest desires, of my pleasure, because everybody told me that I had to fear my pleasure. Even starting with a relationship with food, right? I had to fear food. I had to fear enjoying food. I had to fear exercise, the enjoyment of involvement, of being so much inside of my body, right? I had to fear sex because everybody kind of desexualized me right off the jump. Like everybody assumed nobody wanted me, so that I must not have wanted sex.
That's
Girl,
right.
I was the horniest 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old on a whole block.
You better say it. And like that despite everything else, right? Like we were able to say we're gonna build the lives that we want to live. Right.
Yes.
Not in spite of what society says, but because we deserve it. Right.
Yes.
We deserve to live, to be free. Even
Yes.
if sometimes we are just sort of faking it till we make it, right? Because I'm not going to sit
Yes.
here and say like every day I'm, you know, living in my full truth and glory and excitement, but
Of course not. I
sometimes
mean,
I got to
let's
figure it
talk
out.
about that. Let's talk about that, right? Because I feel, especially in kind of the come up and rise of this commodified, marketable version of what self-love is, of what body positivity is, in the fact that we have curve models, right? Or we have people who have these bodies who are center stage and ultimately selling product, that we have almost like forgotten like truly what those terms mean, what it means to radically accept yourself, what it means to be in body positivity and acceptance and self-love. So let's kind of talk about that and define it for what it is, beyond just I did a bath bomb and I feel so hot today. Because sometimes you don't feel so hot today.
That's
and
right.
We still have to accept ourselves. You still have to show up for your job. You still have to show up for your partnership, right? So what does that mean to you to really accept yourself? What does radical acceptance mean for Nia in your life?
So sometimes it means just, being willing to continue to live, right? And being willing to accept yourself despite what society says. When we look at television, when I was younger, if you did see a fat woman on TV, she was laughed at, she was ridiculed.
Yes.
No one was seeing her as beautiful. And even today, right? I feel like when you're looking at mainstream media, fat women don't just get to be, especially fat Black women. I want to just keep making sure that we're
Being
talking
clear
about those intersections, right? That we don't get to be sexy, or if we are sexy, it's sort of a joke, right? Or we're put in the friend zone. We're the one that everyone comes to. We're the coddler, the cuddler, the one to bring everybody to our bosom, right? So people want us for comfort.
Yes.
Or, folks want to fuck us in secret, right?
Yes.
But not want to actually make the commitment, the choice to be and love us fully and unapologetically.
To show up in reciprocity.
That's right.
100%. I think that experience is exactly the one that I've had of kind of coming through this understanding of, yes, other people expect me to be their mammy, to be their coddler, to be their emotional support girlfriend, while I actually want to fuck my best
girl
skinny white friend.
You better be quiet.
Right. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Right. They expect me to show up and do my job and do the job of everybody else because somehow my big Black body is their mule. Right. These understandings also bred a certain kind of behavior from me, where I stepped into the world and I stepped, onto a dating app. And I thought that dating really, even subconsciously, right? Because I was on my girl boss shit. I was on my, I don't need nobody. I am brilliant. Okay. I am beautiful.
That's right.
Look, I am everything, right? I knew who I was going to become to some extent, but apparently I was still limited in that I still kind of saw myself milling through these relationships that were so incredibly one-sided, right? Where I was still doing the, yes, I do the cooking. Yes, I do the cleaning. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Where I was still kind of, even in covert ways, diminishing the amount of space that I claimed in those relationships and expecting that I had to give up a little bit of my personal power to be in them.
Yeah. And because I think that part of it too is that sometimes it is this, even like when going back to this question about self-love and what does that mean, right? It's like, it's recognizing all the ways that we're internalizing the shit that society is giving us.
Yes.
Right. So part of that is this belief that, we need to feel needed.
Yes.
That in order to be valued, in order to be kept around, in order to feel important, in order to stay partnered, we have to be needed. We have to be giving to someone.
Absolutely. You have to offer the gadgets and gizmos aplenty.
Right. And then we don't get to then just be. Then at that point you can't just relax. You can't have an off day. Right. You got to be
you can't receive.
And girl butler and girl everything else. Right. You can't just because you don't even believe that you are worthy of someone being able to catch you when you fall. And so you stand all the time, right? So it's
absolutely right.
A strong Black woman times 5,000.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And I think that muscle for receiving is one that that almost entirely happens in a vacuum in self-acceptance. And I think that is the true challenge that I find in hearing this commodified idea of what self-love is, particularly for fat Black women, right? And fat Black femmes. I have a really, really hard time with how that's being presented as you just accept who you are, right? You just live with it. You just because it it is such a daily ritual and practice to show up for what it means to go beyond the systems that we face in every single relationship in our lives, right? To learn how to receive in every single facet of how we move in this world, when it comes to work, when it comes to our personal relationships, right? All of these things, that is such a huge challenge, and it is a muscle, right? In learning to receive, I had to fall a couple times, right? I had to learn what it meant to kind of lose myself in these relationships and return back to them, and return back to Kendra, return back to home in my body, and recognize that it was not being in this relationship that was burning me. It was not that person. It was the internalized perception of who I was and what I thought I deserved, and the ability to receive.
Right. But you know what, where I really learned and honed that skill for receiving was from not even in romantic relationships, but in the sisterhood and the network of my platonic relationships with Black women, like fat Black women and Black women who didn't identify as fat, right? Like that place where you learn that you deserve a soft place to land no matter what. Right? That you don't have to be on all the time. You know, it's my girls who did that. It's it's this sort of text thread of friends that I have that got me through COVID at some of the most isolating times when we couldn't see anyone and all my friends are all over the place. And I'm questioning who and how I am and how I show up in a world where I can't see and touch and be around other people. You know, this place where your friends will like get on the Zoom call with you and like force you to sit in a space and receive and hear all the beautiful, wonderful things that they say about you. That is where I am learning continuously every single day how to continue to receive both like the blessings that the universe has for me and the continuous realization that I am deserving no matter what.
Absolutely. And ultimately, we, of course, are going to continue to face people who don't see the same person that we see when we look in the mirror after doing the work, right? You are going to continue to face a world that does not see fat Black women and fat Black femmes as deserving of tenderness. That's what you're describing. In sisterhood and community, you are receiving tenderness, right? You describe that soft place to land. That is what that is. We're not always going to face that, right? So I always really want to engage this conversation and would love to ask you, like, what does it mean for you to find spaces where you are allowed to be received in tenderness? What does it mean for you to create boundaries when you know that you're not in that place? Because I think that is a huge challenge, right? Stepping into a space and saying, oh shit, nobody here has my back, right? Nobody here is going to allow me to just kind of show up as I am and know that it's enough, right? And be tender with me. What does it mean to, be faced with a partner who doesn't really see you the way you see you? Have you had that experience, and how did you react to it?
I mean, I feel like this could sound simple, right?
Yeah.
But,
I love when an answer's simple.
I feel like it really is it's a matter of life or death, right? Like this belief that someone will hold you when you can no longer hold yourself is literally it's a matter of life or death for folks.
It is.
Like to know that there's someone to call, that someone will answer the phone, that someone will hold your hand, even if it has to be virtually, because we're in the midst of a fucking pandemic, right? It's about knowing that you have a space, right? I feel like there are definitely folks, and I think about, what allows me to move through the day working on the kinds of issues that I work on. It's folks like the Black women at Planned Parenthood who are my soft place to land in G-chat and in text messages, right? Where we can call and say, hey girl, it's been a day. Yes. Right? And being able to have that. And like I said, it might sound simple, but it really is a matter of, because sometimes we need, I think that sometimes there's this belief that living is just this thing that we do. But for some of us, it is a conscious effort that we make every single day. Has to be. Yes. I've had my own struggles with feeling like trying to understand what it means to stay here on this planet in this time. Absolutely. Right? And so it is not something I take lightly, that I wake up every day and then go to bed every night making the conscious decision to live and to be here. Right.
Absolutely. And to be all
in
the
a
way
world
here.
that would rather see me not exist.
That's exactly right. They would, if we allowed other people to define us for themselves and for their interests, we would be buried underneath those definitions and underneath those perceptions.
That's
And
right.
it really does require us to show up for that highest person every single day, because that's exactly what's going to happen. We will be buried. I want to talk about circumstances in which, when you kind of like came into yourself and you realize what it means to show up for Nia, right?
Mm-hmm.
To show up for what it means to be a fat Black woman in this world, to kind of wear that, like, that strong back but a soft belly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, you know what's behind you is covered, but you're ready and open to receive. You're in a space of being willing to connect with others, and you know that you'll be safe because you got you. Right? When you enter that space, what did your sex life look like? How did that evolve? What did it mean for you to kind of confront that first partner who really, like, did it for you?
Right. I mean, so this is what happened. No, just
yeah.
But like
to remind you ungaged girls, this is what happened.
I just want to be clear. And that's like, it's so ridiculous. Like, folks have said all kinds of stuff. I got engaged last Friday, and folks have said all kinds of stuff since then. Like, you seem so excited. This is so non-feminist of you. And I was just like, this is actually so feminist of me that Absolutely. I have said that this is the partner of my choosing. Yes. This is the woman of my choosing who has also chosen me, and we are in this together, this thing.
Yes.
Right. But it really is, it is a feeling of liberation. Right? Yeah. To say that I know what I deserve. I know how I deserve it. And that's thinking about relationships. I'm also just sort of thinking, like, what did it mean when I came into that self around my body and sex? Like, I think about, I love when the first time I heard Cry Baby with Megan Thee Stallion and the baby, and she's like, don't fuck me like that, fuck me like this. Like, yes. Like that was the epitome of everything, right? To be able to say, this is what I want.
Completely.
This is how I want it, and you better do it how I want, or you're gonna have to stop. And that was,
you're gonna have to have sex with somebody else,
because you can't do it with me.
Yeah, 100%.
But Kendra, what was that like for you when you stepped into that power for yourself? You
know what? I will say I have had some of the almost like comically traditional fat girl troubled experiences. My first ever Tinder date, okay? I went on a Tinder date. I went on my 21st birthday, which is already such a chaotic choice for me, okay? And thank you so much. Thank you so much for that tenderness. And, we were getting going, whatever. This person shared with me that he had ED, he had erectile dysfunction. I said, of course, like, I understand it. Thank you for sharing that with me, whatever. We started to get going, and he couldn't get it up. And he goes,
don't tell me. I don't want to.
And he goes, I'm sorry, I thought you were thinner. This is after spending a whole 5 to 6 hours with me. Okay, a whole 5 to 6 hours with me.
I feel like, so this is, like, I want to, so fuck him.
But yeah, okay, fuck him. Fuck him.
But not for real. But
not the way that we want, not the good kind.
But I think that this is making me think about this idea around safety, right?
Yes.
Because what happened to you was toxic masculinity.
That's exactly right.
My parts don't work. I already told you that, but I'm going to blame it on you and on
That's
your
exactly
body.
Right.
Right? I'm
because he already knew
Black body, and I'm going to say this is your fault, even though
yes,
I know it's all my fault, right?
Yes.
And so, like, what are the ways that fat Black women are creating these spaces of safety that we need to have? We talk a lot about toxic masculinity. We see the impact of that. We see the murder and the loss of Black trans women.
Yes.
Right? We see Black women who are shot and killed or hurt just because they won't give somebody their phone number. We've all been, hey, sexy, and then fuck you, bitch, when we won't give somebody our phone number.
That's exactly right.
And when you're fat, then the slurs come even faster.
100%.
Because how
Because they
dare you
reveal
turn down
themselves.
somebody's advances? That's right.
Right. They
That's
reveal
right.
themselves. They reveal their fat phobia. They reveal the fact that all along they were going for you because they felt like you were the lowest hanging fruit. And in
That's right.
reality, I'm not. I'm the eternal feast. Okay. I'm the whole meal. I am the whole meal. I am the eternal feast. All right. And I am actually not just here to be consumed, but to be enjoyed, to be honored, to be worshiped. And that's what I expect. Right.
Yes. Yes.
And I feel like going through those experiences, right, where I had somebody literally tell me, like, I thought you were thinner, right? And being in relationships where somebody, you know, might use both the hypersexuality of a Black body, of a fat Black body, of the fact that I'm also bisexual, right? Using these things, weaponizing them against me
Right.
to make me feel like I had to offer more and more and more to be received in sexual safety, to make me feel like when I'm in an intimate space, when we're having sex, I have to perform, right? I got to do flips, tricks, and dips, and not because I want to, okay, not because I saw it on my favorite OnlyFans. Now I'm trying it out, but because they are demanding it, right? They are demanding it. Being through those situations, I realized that there were several moments in any of those interactions where those people did show themselves.
Right.
And they did tip me off that they were not prepared for somebody like me, and that they were not willing to receive me in
And they have to
security.
be prepared for us.
In all the ways.
Also, just real quick, that I am an eternal feast, I need you to get that on a shirt, and then you let me know when it's up for sale.
I will be doing that. Don't worry. We're gonna go ahead and trademark her. Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Hurry up. And then
We're
can
gonna
you
do that one.
sign mine?
Top.
Sign mine.
It's gonna be shipped direct to you, babe. But you know, I think that there are a few things that safety really mean to me, and I feel like because, I mean, let's be clear, and I just want to issue a trigger warning for this. Sexual violence is so common, right? Is so common in the bodies of, as you said, Black trans women. It inflicted on the bodies of Black fat women. This is such a common experience, to the point where I almost didn't even realize how often I have been assaulted or I have been violated, because I have had experiences where I didn't realize somebody was treating me really horribly and I was in an unsafe situation. Safety really, for me, it goes even beyond the physicality, because I've come to understand, like, if somebody is mistreating me physically, my body's hearing it and I'm going to listen to her. Mm-hmm. But my body's also telling me when I'm emotionally unsafe.
Absolutely.
Right? If I'm in fight or flight and I feel like now I have to do flips and tricks, I have to show up with gadgets and gizmos aplenty in order for this person to have sex with me, then I don't need to be there. I don't need to be in a room where I feel like I'm in overdrive the second I step in, because I had to fully shave my cooch and I had to fully, you know what I'm saying? I had to wax everything.
Full face.
Yeah, exactly. Full face.
Laid.
Right? When hopefully they're gonna be blown out anyways. It doesn't make sense. Why does it
even matter?
It doesn't make sense.
But so Kendra, you know, so we've talked some about this sort of how we have felt unsafe. As you have stepped into this power that you have, and I'm sorry if you hear a little something, my dog, Ella Josephine, really wants to come in here and be a part of this conversation, but she's wild, so she's going to have to stay out there.
Right. Yeah.
But how are you, as you come into this power and are you starting to engage new partners? You know, folks are going to have the honor and the privilege to participate in that eternal feast.
Yes.
How are you setting those parameters around safety, around pleasure, and around consent?
Absolutely. I feel like going through this experience, you start to learn how to be a wordsmith and be very, very clear about who you are, right? And I feel like in general, we know how to do that in our careers. We learn how to do that in our friendships. Like, this is who I am, okay? You receive it or you don't. And then sometimes you get kind of smaller in romantic partnerships because it's more intimate, because it's more vulnerable, because it requires you, again, being tender and being soft. And I think that I was originally in a place where I felt like I couldn't be tender and soft off the bat because I wanted to be protected. And now I started to understand that being protected and creating safety means being tender and soft off the bat. And if that is immediately not received, then that person's not for me.
Right.
So I've started to really be so honest about the fact that, like, I need somebody who is going to be kind to me. I'm being very, very clear about what I enjoy in the bedroom, about what makes me feel good, right? About what doesn't make me feel good. I'm very, very clear about a past in sexual trauma. I'm very, very clear about a past in ways in which I've been treated that is not welcome here. So I think that that's also really important of like, don't wait until you've already been literally triggered in the bedroom to mention that you've gone through things, right? Like show up with that right away. And again, if that's too heavy for that person, then so is all this ass. I know you won't be able to catch it. I know it. I know it.
You're gonna be like, throw it back, and I'm like, but you don't even have your glove on.
With what hand? With what hand?
None. But exactly. It's also like this piece about like, I was texting with a friend of mine last night, and we were just talking about like people don't even, like, we are so devoid of what it means for folks to even just come to us from a place of dignity. Like folks can't even say, court me.
Yes.
You know? Woo me, court me, like come sit on my mama's porch after church and drink some sweet tea on the porch and court me. Because I am deserving of that courting, of you to take your time completely and to figure out what all of this body needs for you to do. And a lot of that is also like, what does this mind need for you to do also?
Right. Absolutely. And I think that truly is, I feel like that really is a great foundation for creating safety and for being clear about what your standards are in that relationship. You know, I feel like because Black women, Black bodies in general are so hypersexualized and have, you know, historically literally been perceived as tools for pleasure and for the security of others, right?
And for labor.
For labor, exactly. Most literally for labor. I feel like because of that now, when people experience a fat Black woman who is embodying sexual wellness, embodying pleasure activism, right? Which means that we allow ourselves to be somebody who's guided by our pleasure. We do not fear our pleasure. We understand that in fact is our liberation, and that only there we are safe. Actually, denying ourselves pleasure is when we're unsafe. I feel like when people see somebody in this body embodying that, they, because of the perversion of sexuality through the male gaze, through the external lens, through fat phobia, right? Through fat phobia, because of that, they think I can do whatever I want with this person. I think I can do whatever I want with this person. They don't get that there are several layers, like there are literally 7 layers of hell that you have to go through before you can get there, okay? And it actually is heaven. It is heaven in courting me. And I feel like that's what you're describing. It's like, I want you to go through all of the security measures before you get there. And just because I'm clear about the fact that is what I enjoy, doesn't mean...
Authentication. I need you to put your phone number in and the passcode, what's your mama's maiden name, all of that.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And it's like that, just because I understand what I like, and I understand that pleasure is something that I enjoy, there are different kinds of pleasure. And that doesn't mean that I don't also find pleasure in us going out on a date, right? And you not just having sex with me when it is midnight and you're hitting me up with, what do you do? WYD. Motherfucker, I am 27 years old. Don't you WYD me. It is a mess. It is a mess. It is a mess. And it is a huge challenge in upholding those standards for yourself when you feel like people are not honoring that in you, right? Honoring those boundaries of, I still fully expect you to court me, right? I'm not just going to give it up, and I'm not just going to show up for you in that way if I don't feel like you're going to give me the same.
But I think that goes for a lot of things, and it's gonna sort of feel like I'm switching gears here, but there was a time when, I'm not gonna say the store's name, right? Because I think that there's something to be said about what it means to engage with fat Black women or fat bodies in public and do so unapologetically. Yes. I had gone online to look for something, to look for a blazer. And I saw this leopard print blazer, and I was like, yes. And I saw this bright pink blazer, and I was like, double yes. And I wanted to order them both. Now, they had all of the other blazers that were black and tan, and, you know, that are great for sometimes, but not all the time. But they didn't have the bright pink, the white, and the leopard in
plus sizes.
in the size inclusive, right? So it's already shitty enough that I can't go into the store and buy it because you won't put it in the store. But then you also make this decision that my body doesn't deserve vibrancy, doesn't deserve print, doesn't deserve brightness. And so in the same way that I have stopped allowing folks to be my friend, or or to fuck me in secret, to not be fierce and unapologetic about loving and wanting me,
right.
It's the same thing that I feel like is necessary to sort of say to some of these brands who are like, look, we're size inclusive, but like you have to order 3 different sizes and get them at home and figure out if you can try them on, because you can't come in the store and do that. Or like, we're going to make a very clear distinction about what we feel like your body should be able to even put on.
Yes. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And like, you mentioned, to go back to the beginning of our conversation, that was something you mentioned very early on. Like, that is, I feel like those are the initiations into that far dimmer personal light, is when you're young and you want to rock limited too, but now you got to go shop at Lane Bryant. Now I'm 12 years old in Lane Bryant in bootleg
looking
jeans,
like somebody's auntie.
I'm in bootcut jeans at 17. Listen. I should not be in a JCPenney maternity wear blouse at 12 years old. I don't have no business doing that. And
with lots of stones.
Always the bedazzle. Always the bedazzle. And it's
a mistake.
That's that early initiation of having, I feel like, your soul crushed a little bit in that light dimmed. And as somebody, it's so crazy because now I'm like, I'm a living Bratz doll, baby. Okay. I'm wearing a crop top right now. Okay. I always got the tummy showing. I always have my tummy showing no matter what. I don't even own a full size top. I do not even own a full size top. Okay, my friends are here, they can attest to it. I do not own one. I'm always wearing bright colors. I'm always going to pick the pattern because I want people to know before I even open my mouth. I am claiming this space. You cannot take it from me, okay? And in fact, you already know exactly who I am.
Already know.
You already know.
That's why for me today, I was like, what am I going to put on? So I said, what am I going to wear for Kendra, right? And I said, so this is my Whitney Moreau kimono, and
yes.
I want to sit the girls up. It's a Friday night.
Yes,
we got a
ma'am.
little champagne because we're celebrating.
Yes,
we're celebrating
ma'am.
Each other. We're celebrating Black women who look and feel like us.
Right.
This is amazing.
Amazing. It truly is. So are you. Like, to your point, the feeling of being able to, I really feel like my whole world expanded. Like, I felt like I was in like a big bang of sort of like a personal big bang where like my whole life expanded when I realized that there was like a whole community of fat Black women doing the good work and that I could be a part of it.
And looking stunning.
Looking stunning. And to be clear, that good work was just self-discovery, was just letting themselves buy something bright and beautiful, calling out these brands for not showing up for us, calling out the many partners that they've had who treated them like they were a sidekick in their own damn story.
Putting on a two-piece swimsuit on vacation, not giving a shit.
Yep, exactly. Like, it was like I truly did have this like initiation into self when I realized that there was a community of people telling the story that my inner child needed to scream out to the world already, and that all I had to do was walk in who I was to be received there. And that's what this feels like. Like, I cannot thank you enough for holding space for this conversation with me, because that's what it feels like. And you can't ever stop telling it because that is who you are. Like, that's, you know what I'm saying? You just realize, like, I just needed somebody to tell this story. So I felt validated in my own hurt, right? But also felt so validated in my joy, in the things that I just denied myself because people told me that I wasn't deserving of them. And now I can just stunt. I can just stunt on them.
And you do it so effortlessly.
Thank
right?
you.
And that's the other thing. It's like once you just decide to embody it, then it really is like, I woke up like this. You know what I mean? Like, then it just is.
Yes.
It just is what it is. It is an eternal feast. It is the entire meal. It is all of the things.
Yes.
Right.
And when we get out of that survivalist, when we get out of that,
decide to appreciate it,
Yes.
or get out the way.
Get from round me. If you are not ready to receive me, get from round me.
Because his ass is going to knock you over anyway, because you're not on equal footing. You're not on equal footing. So you're going to get knocked over like a cup on the table, honey. I'm going to just knock you over.
I got a strong turning radius.
I'll mess it all up. I have broken many a glass.
Oh my gosh. No, that is absolutely the truth. So I want to talk about something that really kind of, when we decided that we were going to do this, has been really kind of ringing in my heart, made me think about, in all seriousness, right? About how we put ourselves in harm's way when we don't feel like we're deserving of space, right? Sonia Renee Taylor talks about My Body is Apology, is not an apology, how that initiative and that movement to say my body is not an apology really came from an experience that she had with somebody who she worked with who was disabled and who had a sexual, and this person was also a fat Black femme, and they had a sexual encounter with somebody and thought they might be pregnant. And when Sonia asked them, why, if you didn't intend to have a child with this person, did you not use protection? They responded, because I felt like I was just lucky to be there. And I felt like I was just so thankful that somebody wanted to share that experience with me. And when I read that, I just sobbed. Because I just thought about the almost decade before I had my big bang, before I had my moment, when even inadvertently and covertly, I was doing the same thing, right? And ultimately how I put myself in harm's way, I put my health in harm's way. How do we demystify for other people and ourselves, ultimately, the access to our own health, right? Not excusing like almost the breach in our own health, putting ourselves in a position to be both like obviously physically violated in that situation, but also like literally not having our health be, held in high esteem. How do we avoid those situations? And how do we demystify the idea that our body is an apology and that we won't set those boundaries?
I think it goes back to everything that we're saying. It goes back to I think a foundation one of like what are we building in these babies that are coming up?
Yeah.
Right? Who are in bodies that people are shaming and are stigmatizing from a very young age. What are we teaching them? What are we giving to them? And how are we instilling in folks? Because I think that even whether it's like fat Black girls or Black girls that are taught that you need a man, you got to have a man. If you don't, like this man becomes your anchor in life, or this partner becomes your anchor in life. And so then we are then willing to say, I will be a little less safe. I will lower my standards just a bit. And after a while, the lowering of those standards, by the time you look around, they're in the basement, right? Because all you're saying is, well, I've just been told consistently over and over again, and don't mess around and be a fat Black dark-skinned girl. Right?
That's exactly right.
Just consistently then all of these things are just stacked against you. So when you finally get somebody to pay you a little bit of attention, right? To smile at you a particular way, then there's so much of us that we're willing to give away. But that in and of itself is like the manifestation of how we are living in such a misogynistic world, in a world that is fueled by toxic masculinity. And when that dangerous intersection of patriarchy, of male supremacy, and of racism and white supremacy.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
That intersection of misogynoir that happens, that Black women have to fight through and Black femmes have to fight through just to be able to live every single day.
That's
right?
exactly
and so
right.
I really want to tip my hat to you, because I feel like part of the way that we battle against that we push back on fat phobia in the medical industrial complex, that we push back on fat phobia in relationships, and that's not just like romantic relationships, it's also platonic relationships, right?
Absolutely.
When do we push back on that? the way that we demand the necessity to take up space, to be
Yes.
seen, to be examined by the doctors that we go into, and not just, sort of cast off because they take a look
Yes.
at our chart before they walk in and they see how
Yes.
much we weigh. Right? It's
Yes.
about you are so much a part of what this revolution is going to be, because folks have you to look at. Right. And I hope that you know that what you are doing is saving somebody's life.
Absolutely.
Whether that's stopping them from taking their own life, Kendra, or whether that's giving them the power and the necessity to be able to flag something for a doctor to say, hey, actually, can you put it in a chart? If you're not going to see me, if you're not going to treat me, put it in my chart. Right?
Yes.
You are giving folks the power and the possibility to advocate for themselves in a way that 14-year-old Nia didn't have. And I am grateful for you and for what you're doing, and for for the lives that you're saving, for saving my life. Thank you.
I'm gonna start crying. That means the world to me. That means the world to me. Like, for me as Kendra, when I think about my legacy, I want Oprah's cabbage garden. Okay.
Yeah.
I want a great partner. I want some cute kids, right? I would love those things. At the end of the day, all I have ever envisioned truly is a world that comes after me, in which fat Black women can stand a little bit taller and a little bit wider with absolutely zero fear. And they see a future painted in color in exactly their shape and size. That is all I envision in this life. And that starts with safety. That starts with the ability of going into the, going to the doctors and saying, my weight is not my problem. And if that's where you're going to, I'm going to go somewhere else.
That's right.
Right now. That starts with, having a partner and saying, if you're going to not make me come, then I'm going somewhere else. Because
also I'm just wasting my time, because I could do it myself.
I can't, and I promise I can do it amazing. Okay, I've got a whole, at least 2 drawers full of things that will help me make this happen. I don't need you.
And I can be done with you, and then I could go have a snack, right? Like, you're
that's
wasting
exactly
my time. You're doing too much. So, Kendra, I know we have, Instagram's got all these time limits and all this stuff. I want to make sure that folks are able to come back and see this. So I want to ask you a question before we go. What does it mean for you, whether it's like walking down the aisle on an airplane and getting ready to sit in the seat that you've chosen, or whatever? What does it mean for you to unapologetically take up space? And how do you suggest that other Black women who are living in the kinds of bodies that we are living in, and other Black femmes who are living in these bodies, how do you suggest, and what are some of the offerings that you have for them as we get ready to leave, that would allow them to feel more comfortable, sit up a little taller, switch their hips a little bit harder, and take up the space they deserve?
For me, I think that truly, truly starts with play and self-discovery. I am sick of imagining a world where the Black, fat female story is trauma, is suffering, is hard work. I want us to play. I want us to imagine this world as a big jungle gym, right? And we get to discover what makes our hearts beam, what makes us laugh the loudest, what makes this belly jiggle, right? Those are the things that we should be trying to venture toward. All the things that you imagine that you were fearful of, venture toward them, and quickly. That is what I want, right? Go towards those fears and do it joyfully, right? And without feeling like everybody's watching you do that. And I think that is like a huge part of really like being in your authenticity. Is maybe imagine that people are looking at you, because they always are. They want a piece. They want a piece. They want to see it, right? But imagining that you're just playing in a playground like you did when you were a kid. Like, I'm always trying to honor young Kendra, and I want a world in which fat Black women can do the same and have a space of protection to do that. And with awareness of the world, I also want fat Black women to go toward a space where they are honored and have the space to do that. right? Don't even bother spending a second doing something that you know you cannot do safely, because that means that you're not playing. I
That's
don't
right.
want us to survive. I want us to thrive, right? I
That's
want us to
all the
be up
way.
here, up here. I want us to keep those vibrations high. So that's really what that means for me. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's about making that conscious effort every day. It's about, putting on the lotion that makes you feel soft. And for me, really, like, whether it's like my nails, going to Mag Nails
Love.
here to get my nails done, or it's like buying something pretty to wear or some really pretty underwear. To me,
Yes.
adornment is my armor. Right, like, so like the
I
earrings that
love
I
it.
wear, making my hair nice, putting on this red lip is armor, because
Yes.
me being able to say and stand strong and firm in the fact that I am gorgeous and delicious and delectable, right? And that I deserve
Yes.
all of the hotness and the beautifulness that the universe has to offer,
Sure
right? And so
do.
sometimes this armor is really, also a mask, right? Because when I'm
Right.
not feeling that hot, when I'm not feeling that great, I still get to say, like, this is how I want to show up and present to the world, because I can.
Because
Yeah.
I can't, and because you were born to.
That's
You
right.
were born to. This is not our joy, our hotness. It's not an exception. The reason why we're doing this is because we were born to. This
Yes.
is it.
This is it. What, Kendra, I hope, I mean, I know we keep getting our little time warnings. So we have like 3 minutes left. It is my
Yes.
hope, my absolute hope, that we can do this again. This was wonderful. You are
Literally
wonderful.
anytime. This is exactly the Kiki we need. I'm so happy that in a Panera Bread, I am able to meet such inspiring, incredible, unreal energy. So thank you so much for bringing it tonight. And I am certain that we will do this again soon. I really want to thank everybody who has stuck with us, who has engaged in this conversation, who decided to stretch your hearts, your imaginations, and your spirits a little bit wider to entertain a world where it is safe for fat Black women to be in their pleasure. Thank you all so much for the communities at
Thank
Planned
you.
Parenthood, at My Brown Box, and thank you to Nia. It is
Thank you,
truly my
Kendra.
greatest honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll talk to you soon. Everybody have a great night. Be
Have
fat,
a
be
great Black
fine,
History
and
Month.
be free. That's right.
Be free.
Bye-bye.